Hello everyone. So in my previous video, I actually physically demonstrated to you about uh, how to perform the physical ritual of Salah or turning towards Allah. So actually, because I was getting a lot of comments and questions, people asking me, can you show that to me? I got an email. So hopefully you saw that. In the next next several videos, I'm going to go through all the Quranic verses that demonstrate to you, prove to you why I perform Salah the way I perform it. So I'm going to show that to you, and you're going to see that Quran 100% supports the way I perform the Salah, and everything you need to know about the Salah is in the Quran. Everything from A to Z. And Quran is perfect and Quran is complete. This is really important because when it comes to Salah, we have two camps. One camp is obviously traditional Islam camp that they believe Salah is a ritual, a physical ritual, but they have added their own elements to it. And there is this new camp, and that has recently, for a new age camp, where they believe Salah is basically just a spiritual thing. So they have mistranslated in a very poor manner. They ignore all the meanings of sujda or prostration, sujud or prostration, and ruku or bowing down, and they say ruku means, they claim, I should say, that ruku means being humble and sujud means submission. And they have really gotten rid of Salah, even though it is right there in the Quran. If you are one of those people, and if you are truly searching for the truth, if you follow your own whims and desires, then there is no reason for you to watch this video, or to actually even watch any videos on my channel, to be quite honest with you. Because this channel is devoted to Allah and His words. That's what this channel is about. It's not about subscribers. It's not about anything like that. This channel is only and only devoted to Allah and the truth of His word. So if you by any chance are searching and looking for the truth, first and foremost, I ask you to go back and look at my videos about sujud or prostration, and also about ruku. I have several videos on them, and I go through all the Quranic verses. And also I ask you to stay with me, because I'm going to go through all the Quranic verses that talk about Salah in my videos. I'm going to go through them one after another. It's going to be a lot of videos, but by the end of these videos, you're going to know everything there is to know about the act of Salah, or the act of turning towards Allah. Salah means turning towards Allah. It doesn't mean prayers. It means turning towards Allah. But first, I want to talk to you about this verse. It's verse number 238 of chapter 2 in the Quran. As you can see, this is not the main verse. This is the dessert. This is not the main dish. We are going to get to the main dish. So I just wanted to show you something in this verse. So first of all, this verse is without a doubt talking about Salah. As you know, it says, Hafizu ala talawat. It means take care or guard your salah, your prayers, your salats. Wa salat al-wusta, and the intermediate or middle prayer. So that was the first part. Hafizu ala talawat, guard your prayers, and the intermediate or middle prayer. So the prayer that is intermediate or middle. And I will talk about this verse later. But then at the end of it, and this is the part I want you to pay attention. So this is the point of this. I want you to keep this part in mind. So so far I read the first part, just so you know that this verse is a little verse, is only talking about Salah. It's only talking about turning towards Allah, salah, prayers. So it says to guard your prayers and the middle prayers, and it says قُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, basically stand before Allah in devotion. The other translation says stand before Allah in a devout manner. So what I'm trying to point at is قُومُوا لِلَّهِ. So look at that and remember that in Arabic it says قُومُوا le, so it's one word here. So I'm going to go this way, and then le, and then Allah. So qumu lillah. It means a stand for Allah, stand toward Allah. So first of all, you know that in Salah there is something called standing. You have to stand. So Allah says stand before Allah, stand for Allah, stand towards Allah. But what I want you to keep in mind is that qumu, right? Qumu lillah, because this is important. So whenever you see this this way of using it, qumu lillah, you know it's talking about salah. So keep that in mind because Quran is very subtle here. So again, one more time, qumu lillah, keep that in mind. I'm going to jump into the next verse and then you're going to realize why I asked you to pay close attention to this one. Okay, give me a second. We're going to go to the next verse. Okay, so this is the verse. This is the main dish. The other one was the dessert, right? So this is the main dish that we're going to talk about. This is the main verse that I want to talk about today. So we are going to get to that verse later on. That verse is a very important one, but we're going to get to it later on. The point of today is verse number 46 of chapter 34. So keep this in mind. So let's read together. It says, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَعِذُكُمْ بِوَاحِدَةٍ. It means say, I only advise you to do one thing. The translation is here. We'll get to it as well. Then it says, and basically that thing that I'm asking you, and تَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ. This is why I wanted you to pay attention to that verse. Look, this is the exact same thing that the other verse had used. تَقُومُوا le Allah. I wrote it down for you as well. Now, in the previous verse, it says it was a commandment. It says qumu lillah. So that was a commandment. That's why it didn't have this te. It says te at the beginning of it. Here it says taqumu. So this is, you have this te added to it. It's a mudare. It says and taqum, that you stand before Allah, stand towards Allah, stand for Allah. So remember, this te has been added to it, but doesn't change anything. So if you remove that te, you are going to end up with what? With qumu, which is the command, is the imperative form of it. I don't want to bore you with the Arabic grammar. You don't need that. Really, Quran is simple. You really don't need that. But if you had questions, I can answer that as well. So this is the exact same structure that was used in the previous verse. I demonstrated to you in the previous verse, whenever that is used, it's in regard to the salah. It's in regard to the act of turning towards Allah, to the prayers. So keep that in mind. So here, again, it's the same thing is used. So قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَعِظُكُمْ, I advise you to one thing, and that thing that I'm advising you to do is to stand towards Allah, before Allah, to stand for Allah. So what is it talking about? Right here, off the top of your head, based on this verse and that verse, this is the exact same sentence that was used previously. So this is talking about salah or ritual prayers. But Allah doesn't say the ritual salah here. Why? I will explain that to you. I will explain that to you as well. But let's read the rest of the verse. And taqumul, and stand before Allah, mathna. Mathna means a, and remember, it doesn't say al-mathna. Doesn't say al-furada. It says mathna because it means a doubly or dual unit. So I'm going to write it down here. Mathna here means a doubly. Please excuse my handwriting. My handwriting is horrible. I apologize for it. I have never been blessed with good handwriting. So as long as you can read it, that's not my strong point. So a doubly or a dual unit. So that's mathna. So then it says, so that was masna. Then it talks about furada. What does furada means? Furada means a singly. A singly or a single unit. So we are learning this together. I'm writing it for you. So we are learning this together, right? So mathna wa furad. It says stand for Allah, stand towards Allah, a doubly or a dual unit, and wav. Wav here means and a singly. Then it says ثم تتفكروا. Then think that your companion is not crazy, because the companion, whoever that person is, people were calling him crazy. So what does it? Let's look at the translations. Before I even say anything, I just showed to you the taqumu and qumu, so you know this is about what this is about. Let's see what they have translated. It says stand before God in pairs or singly. Basically, dually or singly. So basically, stand before God either in two people, in groups of two people, or alone. So basically, do not stand before God as three people. So the way they have translated, just look how funny this is, how ridiculous this translation is. It's ridiculous. It says basically, in order to think, you can only stand before Allah as a one person or as a two person. So you never stand before Allah as a three people. So if you are groups of three in a mosque, or you group of five, go outside the mosque or just wherever you are and separate into groups of two or one. First of all, the or is wrong because this is wav. This is not even or. So this should be and. So it should be in pairs or singly. So basically saying stand before Allah in pairs. First of all, it's not pairs. That's another lie. Doubly as two people and singly as one person. So how could you be both doubly two person and one person at the same time? How can I stand before Allah at the same time, both as two people and as one people? Unless you have some sort of a bipolar disorder inside of you that you can be two people and one person at the same time, there's no way. You have to really belong to a psychotic institution. And I'm not trying to insult those people, but the reality is that the way they have translated it, I have the most respect from people who have suffered from mental disease. But there is no way for you to be two people in one person. There's no way. So let's look at the other translation. That you stand before Allah, it may be in pairs, it pairs or dual pairs, or it may be singly, the same thing. So I'm not going to bore you with this nonsense. I really just think about it. That's why Allah says that you have to think. Those who think, those who ponder. How can you stand before Allah as two people or as one person at the same time? So if you make it or, that makes sense. So here they have translation, that makes more sense. I'm saying that makes sense because first of all, the whole idea is absurd. The whole idea is nonsense. It's pure nonsense. But at least you can just justify it. But wav means and. So what that means is that the translators believe that this wav originally was an ow, because ow means or. So ow, I'm going to write it better. Ow in Arabic means or. So maybe there was an ow here that it fell. Because we saw from Surat Rum that they have changed the vowels in Arabic in that surah. It's very obvious, no doubt about it. So we know that has happened. So if this was ow, we could take that into consideration. But as of right now, this is wav. And wav means and. So we cannot. So vav in Arabic, for those of you who don't know, vav in Arabic means and. But there is a possibility, maybe the aw fell, maybe it was masna aw farada. And taqumu lillahi masna aw farada. Yeah, sure, maybe it was, but it's not as of right now. But even if that was vav, again, this translation doesn't make any sense, because as I demonstrated to you, the taqumu lillah is used for salah. Let me go back to that verse and I'm going to show it to you again. Again, look here. Qumu lillah qanatin. What is it talking about? Come back here. Hafidhu ala salawat. Guard your prayers have, or salawat is a plural of salah. But salat al-wusta, and the intermediate prayer, and a prayer that has the quality of being intermediate. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. So when this qumu is referring to what? To these verses about salah. So again, let me go back to the previous verse. Again, you saw the qumu is imperative. قُومُوا لِلَّهِ. And here, what do you have? تَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ. Look at that. تَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ. So we know 100%, this is about the salah. This is about the act of turning towards Allah. This is about the prayers, whatever you call it. But Quran calls it salah. So this verse is about salah. So what is masna? It says stand for Allah, stand in the direction of Allah, stand towards Allah. Mathna, a doubly, is talking about the number of parts of salah. A doubly means a salah that has 2 units in it. Mathna means something that has 2 units, and each unit is the same. So what does masna means? I told you, a doubly, a dual unit. And what does farada means? It means a single unit. So masna is something that has 2 units in it, 2 parts in it, and each part is the same. Each part is the same. Some of you might have heard the word mathnavi. It's a kind of poetry where it has 2 parts, and I'm not familiar with it, but it almost comes from the same thing. So mathna, so that's talking about the salah. So the original salah, the main salah, has 2 units in it. And then if you have to shorten the salah in the time of fear, then it becomes a singly, or something that has single part in it. So masna is here. Allah is telling you in this verse the number of parts, the number of what in current Islam they call rak'ah, but it's 2 parts. Quran calls it standing. Salah has 2 parts. Each part of salah has standing, ruku, and sujud. Ruku means bowing down. Ruku means, again, I emphasize this. Ruku means bowing down. Not, of course, part of bowing down, you are being humble. And sujud means prostration. And prostration, of course, when you prostrate to someone, you're submitting to them as well. It's the internal meaning. You can't separate these two together. You can't change the history of mankind. This is how it has been all over the history. So standing, ruku, and sujud. So this is one part. And then the second part, again, is the same thing. Standing, ruku, and sujud. So this is what this verse is talking about. So when you do a doubly and when you do a singly. So let's see if the wav makes sense, because we have an and. So as I demonstrated to you, the translators have translated that as or, shamelessly. They have no shame. Wav means and. So what they're telling you is that there's a possibility that this wav was ow. As I showed to you, ow means or. Maybe there was an aleph here and it fell. If that is the case, sure, we can say or. If it's or, it means that basically if you are, say your prayer, say a prayer, say a 2 units, a doubly, a 2 unit salah before thinking, or if you might be in an airplane, you might be in a war, you might be somewhere dangerous. in that case, only say a shorter form of it, a single unit. So if vav is or, but if vav is and, what does that mean? Does it make sense if vav is and? Let's see. I demonstrated to you that if vav means and, the translation is nonsense. Nonsense is impossible. But let's say with what I say, if vav is and, it makes sense. I'll show it to you. So what does it mean? It means say a prayer, stand a salah, stand a ritual of salah for a, again, I should not use salah, and I will tell you why Allah doesn't use salah. A doubly, a 2 unit, so a 2 unit plus a 1 unit. So altogether, so altogether how much? 3 units. So you can do it. That's not a problem. That's doable. That makes sense. So even if this was wav, even if this was and, it just makes sense. So it makes sense either way. So this is the only translation that makes sense. These people, these traditional Muslims, unfortunately, may Allah wake them up from their ignorance, from their bliss. Because, and also the new generation that has come up and says there is no ritual prayer, just be humble and submit and just, what are you talking about? What about standing? You have to stand up. Allah is saying stand for Allah. And then 2 units and 1 unit. What? 2 units of what if you don't have any prostration or sujood? Do you even understand what you're talking about? Think, my brothers and sisters, think. So as you can see, it doesn't matter. If wav means or, it makes sense. Because it actually does make sense, because it's the normal prayer is 2 parts, and if it's in a position of fear, in a position of danger, you can be shorter to 1 part. And I'll go over all those verses with you. I have several videos on it, but I'm going to go one by one because I want to make this clear for all of you who have submitted to Allah, who have faith in Allah. I want you to say your prayers correctly. This is what I want. But it's up to you. I can take you up to the water, but at the end of it, you have to go down and drink the water. But I'll show it to you. I'll prove it to you. You are not going to have any excuse in the day of judgment after you have watched these videos, because I'm going to show it to you. And I am showing it to you. So if wav is or, it makes absolute sense. But if wav is and, if wav means and that's the key. Allah knows the future. If wav is and, the only thing that makes sense, is that this is about salah and this is about each part of the prayer. Why? Because Allah is telling you do a 2 unit first, and then after 2 units, do an additional 1 unit and seek my help, and then which becomes 3 units. But overall, this can be translated another way as well. It says do a 2 unit and a 1 unit. So Allah is combining all the possibilities for salah. This has happened before as well. Having said that, stand up before God in pairs of 2 people or in pairs of 1 person. What does it even mean? What does it even mean? Please, somebody make a comment to tell me what does it mean. Does it mean that get out of your house, you go with your wife, and then like what about the children standing? What about children stand separately? Or if you're in a mosque, just scatter outside and have 2 columns, one of the 2 people and one the other people. What does it even mean? Somebody please help me. So it's just, if you can make a comment and just, this is nonsense. The translation is nonsense. Anyway, this video got long, but that's fine. You want the truth. It's gonna take some time. I'm not gonna make the videos shorter. I have a full series about Salah, but I have packed so many verses in one place, so I don't have the time to go through these things. That's why I'm gonna make these videos 1 verse at a time from now on. I'm gonna go 1 verse at a time, go through it, digest it. We are going to analyze it, dissect it, so that we can all understand it and have all the details of it, right? Sorry, this is not too clean, but I just don't have the time to go through typing and all those things. So I just demonstrated to you that Wav, and this is all about Salah. So Allah is telling you, for those of you that say the number of rak'ats or the number of units or number of parts in Salah is not in the Quran. It is in the Quran. It is here. Mathna means a prayer, the 2-unit prayer, and Furada. So that's the only way you can do Salah. The only way is either is 2 units or 1 unit. Oh, and the reason why, I forgot, the reason why Allah doesn't use the word Salah here, because Salah is only for specific times. Salah is only for in the dawn and in the dusk and also at hours of night. Whereas here, this might not be in those times. So let's say if you are at 11 a.m. or at 10:30 a.m., it's not morning, it's not dusk. So you have to think. So this is not the ritual the timed ritual Salah. This is just an addition. You're just doing this before thinking. I do that a lot. Whenever I need to think about something, I do a 2 rak'ah. I do this. I abide by this verse. I stand a doubly. Fortunately, I have not had the need to stand a singly, but I stand a doubly, a 2-unit Salah, just like I demonstrated to you in my previous video, and then I seek Allah's guidance. So this is why, but it's not Salah, it's not my morning Salah, it's not my evening Salah. It's just something that it has nothing to do with it. That's why Allah doesn't use the word Salah here. But I demonstrated to you from the previous verse and this verse that this is about Salah. I'm going to wait. If you have any comments, questions, please ask. Even I might devote the next time to answering questions for this, but there should not be any questions after this. I'm hoping not. But if there is some, I'm going to answer those questions as well in the video. Okay. Ma salam.